Oh, it's been 2 days and 2 nights of just pouring rain. This is light, and you can see the color of the water here. It's gone chocolate. Got a lot of rainwater coming down from the rivers. We're still in Golfito. We're probably going to be here for a little while. Got crocs swimming around the boats and in the mooring, so it's not exactly the kind of place you actually want to go for a swim. It's been absolutely hosing down. So we've been collecting water. We've collected a couple of buckets and a couple of bins full.
Beautiful and fresh again.
The water is so blue, it's unreal, it's clean. Anyway, so let's slow down a bit now, but we're going to transfer. We actually got a little siphon system going here. We already filled the back tank. Terry's helping me here, so here we go. We just tip it out from these big buckets. I mean, it fills in no time.
Pure water, literally.
It seems like a complete waste not to do it. So.
And there's our little siphoning system going on there with a pipe. So we're chucking all the water into this cooler and siphoning it into the tank at the top.
You will not believe how quickly this fills up here.
And our tanks are getting full. Yay!
I don't want to move the boat because we've been on this anchor for about a week now, and
Solid.
so I can trust it. So yeah, I just want to go and get some diesel. I can get diesel right here in the cans and just fill up, so I don't even have to move the boat. So. Yeah, due to the discoloration of the water and all the sediment in the water is not suitable for making water here. So yeah, it's a long way out to the outside to get to clean water. So yeah, the rainwater was the next best option.
There's the marina. Everyone's tucked inside. Nobody's out today, everyone's indoors.
Going for a little waltz down the Gulf. My taxi driver.
Yes.
I've got one serious injury already. I just want to remind her.
Oh, come on. Did that to yourself.
Beautiful afternoon. Was bursting with rain this morning. Look at this red tide. It's terrible.
Look at it there. You can actually see it.
Horrible. Now, one of the big problems we've had in Panama and Costa Rica is the light due to all the overcast conditions. It's really difficult to get decent photography. Some commercial boats up sort of further up the Gulf here, starting to get into the sort of less savory areas. I have no idea. It's starting to get very rural. Now the whole coastline in Panama and Costa Rica is really wild. Not a lot of roads, heavy jungle, super interesting area, but really difficult to move around in. Now we're taking the opportunity to go over and have a look at the forest and jungle, hoping to see some of the wild parrots and monkey life, but I think the rain had put them to bed. house up in the jungle here. And these jungles are freaking impressive. Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow.
Wow.
Look at them.
Vertical rock face.
Yeah.
Straight into the jungle. Little restaurants and things are going out towards the spit that runs out towards the Gulf. Places look really run down. The COVID's beaten these people badly. And that's the channel out to the Gulf, out to Matapala. Now heading back to the boat. Okay, so people often ask, you know, sort of what effect a dirty boat would have to you on speed, and we've just had a massive personal experience of it, because I've been out because of my leg, which is now starting to look pretty good. It's healing nicely, so I haven't been able to dive the boat, and it was probably a month ago that I dived last. We came out of Golfito, which is there in the corner. We came out around Matapala. We were going out to the Fads to go look for some marlin, and I could see she was going pretty slowly. I wasn't getting more than 4.5 knots coming up. I thought, okay, maybe there's a bit of current with a pushing tide or something, and we came around the corner here, worked our way up because of the wind. Very strong onshore wind, so we worked our way all the way up to almost to Drake's Bay, and then pushed out to the ridge out here, and we're on our way to the outside marks out here. But it just became impossible because the maximum speed, and I mean, you guys will have seen some of the previous programs where we were doing 2/3, 3/4 of wind speed when beating, and we had up to 21 knots on the way out, and the maximum speed I touched on 7 once or twice. We should have been doing 11, 12 knots, and I could only get a maximum of 7, sitting at 6.67 knots. Eventually I had to throw in the towel. There was no point in working all the way to the outside. It was going to take me another 4 hours, then 4 hours back, and the sea wasn't good and the wind was dropping, so I decided to call it a day. But we're on one motor now with overdrive, and normally we would be doing 6 knots now, and we are battling at 4.3, 3.9. Even if I push the revs up, we're not even getting another knot out of her, and that's like forcing her. I didn't realize how bad they were, because Golfito, the water is really dirty, and you don't really see under the water, and I haven't been in the water because of my leg, and especially because of these critters lurking in the background. And I knew there'd be barnacles, but I had no idea how big they would get. And on the way out yesterday, when the boat was porpoising a bit in the water, I could see underneath the hull in the clean water, and I was absolutely horrified. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do, and I've thrown the towel in with the marlin fishing, and head back and try and find somewhere where there's some clean water to try and get this boat sorted out. The effect is ridiculous, unbelievable. It's the boat's not even steering properly. The rudders aren't working properly because of the turbulent water flow that's coming off the boat, and it's impossible to get any speed. She just won't sail properly. She's not holding a course properly. It's an absolute nightmare. Now my leg's obviously better. I've been up and at it this morning doing some tasks on the boat, stitching some cotton that had come undone on the clears, and doing the fueling up. Just basically decant into the boat, and then I go and fill up at the jetty there. It's much easier than taking the boat in, and no mess, no blow by, no problem. It's kind of the scenario which led to me falling into the hatch, stepping into the hatch. And that was actually the scenario that was there for me in the dark, and I actually hit the edge of the coping and actually stepped onto that through hole fitting down there. I don't know how I didn't step that off. That could have gone as well. And then obviously when the leg went through, my right knee came through and right knee caught this edge here, and that's what led to that. So yeah, never ever leave a hatch open in a boat. Yeah, there's the Jenny switch just around the corner, which is where I was going via the hatch. It's like today fueling up, you know. You think, I'll just leave the cap off, I'll be back now, I'm going to put another 2 cans on. Never do that. Just don't do it, because shit happens that you don't foresee, and you end up being dragged in a different direction, and it slips your mind, and the next thing you've slipped into a hole like I did, and it's going to be catastrophic. So when you're on these boats, you can't afford these type of accidents, and leaving anything to chance is like an absolute no-no. You know, use systems. Just go by those systems and stick to them, because if you don't, this kind of shit happens. Now, so it's repair time again. Just wanted to show you something. We've got a 15 kVA genset on the Lyra Noah, and yeah, we had one of the impellers shred itself the other day. It's actually the second time it's happened, and that was on 579 hours to be exact since replacement. And yeah, the bits of the impellers go through the water pump and they end up in your heat exchanger. That's what's left. You can see them in this. But just to show you, I'm going to try and tip this out. That was just in the elbow. I haven't even looked into the intake side now of the manifold for the heat exchanger, and yeah, that's pretty unbelievable. That's what's left of the past impellers. So there you have all the bits of the past impellers that are shredded. Quite a few pieces stuck in here, so I'm going to have to clean that out. Well, that wouldn't have helped the motor run at a decent temperature, that's for sure. But yeah, super important, because all those bits of the impeller come from there, out of your housing. It gets pushed up through the pipe and then into your entrance to your heat exchanger, and all those bits of rubber were stuck in front of the capillaries. And you have a look at that, and she couldn't have been running too well, that's for sure. She would have been running, must have been running right on the limit. Yeah, it's something worth checking every time you lose an impeller and it loses its blades. Yeah, so one of the aftermaths of flipping the duck was obviously the fact that the starter motor had got salt water in it. With my leg being so buggered, I haven't been able to tackle this problem, which is actually very unfortunate, because in the meantime there's quite a bit of rust that's accumulated in this on the starter. This morning or yesterday evening, it basically wouldn't start, and obviously the brushes have stuck in position, so it looks great now, but those brushes weren't moving like that. They're now free to move. They were stuck in that position, so they wouldn't make contact with the armature, and it just wouldn't swing. So I've managed to get this one free now. This one's still a bit sticky. It's getting there, but yeah, it's a matter of getting these brushes free and then cleaning the whole starter motor up. It doesn't look too good inside here, but we'll get it cleaned up and lubed up, and then put back together, and hopefully it'll work for a while to come. So there you see they're both really free now. The problem now, and the challenge, is getting this into the cup, into the brush holder, and then you've got to try and hold these brushes open to get it over the armature, and that's going to be a serious challenge. Like I said, it wasn't such a big deal. The brush is actually going quite easily. Where your shaft goes into the bush actually seats, and you can actually push the brushes aside and then just slot it in, so it wasn't a problem at all. So I put it back together again. It's no big deal. Everything's working smoothly. Just greased and lubed everything up, and yeah, looking good to go. So now to get the starter motor back on again, and then give it a swing, and hopefully it's good to go. Yeah, it was a little bit of a double job, because we had to do this job when we cleaned everything up the first time. We had to take the airbox off, air cleaner, and yeah, basically strip everything down. It's actually a little bracket, which is actually a pain in the ass. They never make it easy for you, these Jappos. I tell you what, it's never simple. You have to take off the manual start system, and this little bracket here is an absolute pain in the ass. It's going to be interesting trying to get it back in again. If you had all the other peripheral things off, it would be easy to work on, but you know, if you don't want to try and take all of that off, then yeah, got to make a plan. And last but not least is the little sender unit or the airbox. Out that she won't go. Okay, there we go. I think we're done. I think we're done. Good to go. Now, with plenty of time on my hands, it was on to the next task. Yeah, so we've always had a problem with the fridge. We've always had water running at the bottom of the corner here and could never work out where the hell it was coming from. So anyway, today we do a defrost and I checked that the pipes are open and they're draining. So I just thought, let me just pour some water in there. So I pour a bit of water in the right hand one and it drains away quietly, and I pour some in the left hand one and I hear it falling on the floor below. Yeah, you always have little hiccups on boats, even when they're brand new, and yeah, troubleshooting and finding them is great, but you need the time, and obviously with us being laid up, it was a perfect time to start sorting out those little tasks which we hadn't had a chance to get to. And of course there's new ones that pop up as you are sailing, and you have to deal with as you go along. Yeah, it turned out it was one of the drain pipes that had just come adrift, and just a simple matter of getting it connected again and make sure that it drained properly. One first. Hang on a minute. Put into the left hand side. It's coming now. There it drains out now. Okay. Pour in the right hand side. There we go. Fixed. Yeah, the main fridge and freezer in the saloon had been mislabeled on the DV board, so it was just a matter of switching the two power cables over, and then the switches would be working on the correct equipment. Yeah, using the cool air in the mornings to do a bit of work. One of the problems you have always is your stitching and stuff coming undone. Yeah, just trying to keep up all the little sections where you lose a bit of stitching due to the wet and the sun. And so yeah, busy stitching it up by hand, just going through all the things as carefully as possible to make it look neat. It's part of the upkeep and keeping everything good. If you don't enjoy doing this stuff, don't get a boat. So yeah, we're trying to make a plan now to get going back down to Panama. So join us next week as we bid a final farewell to the remaining parlay crew. We check out of Costa Rica and head out towards the Fads, looking for a marlin, with a quick pit stop at Matapolo Point, where we tangle up with a really nice rooster fish. Make sure you subscribe and we'll catch you then. Thanks for watching. Catch you next week.